Okay, guys, I hope that everybody will learn something from whatever I will be trying to read up now, and I'll try to be quick, short, and sweet. So let's go. Neue Zürcher Zeitung. So Zurich, it's a town in Switzerland, famous for chocolate and banks. Turn between Spain, Switzerland, and Russia. How a child custody case is being used in Moscow's propaganda war. Struggling against a seemingly overbearing Spanish agency, a desperate couple sought help from Russian state media. The resulting coverage has brought the story to an audience of millions, but NZZ research has uncovered a web of lies and a surprise. By Julia Mon, Forrest Rogers. Them with them and their coded names. August 18, 2022. It is very parents' nightmare. On June 17, 2022, Thomas and Elena Lang, a married couple, learned by phone that they were to lose custody of their two children. 9-year-old Nora and 6-year-old Yana were picked up at their school in Barcelona by officials from Catalonia's Child and Youth Protection Agency and taken to children's home. Even today, the parents still don't know exactly where they are. This shocking news reached the 39-year-old mother, a dual Russian-Swiss citizen in Barcelona, where she lived with the children. Her Swiss husband, on the other hand, received the call in Zurich, where he lives and works during the week. With official Swiss documents containing information about his families in his luggage, the 51-year-old immediately flew to the Mediterranean, where he intended to prove that his children had been taken away from him unlawfully. The couple were up against an agency that can be described as the equivalent of the Swiss Child and Adult Protection Authority. The DGAIA is tasked with protecting socially endangered children and youth. Like the KESB in Switzerland, the DGAIA can in special cases take over custody of minors it deems to be in need of protection. Frantic in their despair, the parents leveled serious accusation against this powerful, seemingly unyielding authority. They contacted Spanish and Swiss media organizations. The media in both countries, including NZZ, Amazon.tag, reported on the case. Following this, Elena Lang significantly intensified her public outreach. She mobilized the media in her native Russia, showing off pictures and video footage of the children and alternately holding up their passport and other documents to the camera. Ammunition in Russia's propaganda war. The Russian propaganda machine took up the case. It fit beautifully into the narrative that the West is driven by hatred of all things Russian and the Russians abroad are no longer safe from persecution. The Kremlin had already warned its citizens against traveling abroad after the annexation of Crimea in 2014. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Moscow has been beating this drum even harder. Likewise, the case can be easily aligned with the popular Russian assertion that their moral standards in the West are crumbling. For this reason, the narrative goes, the world needs a strong President Putin who will defend traditional Russian values, such as the family and Christianity. Thus, during her interviews with state and state-affiliated television stations, it is not surprising that Elena Lang drew a link between her custody case and the Ukraine war. The Spanish authorities took her children away simply because she was Russian, she said. But that wasn't all. Outraged, the mother said Catalan officials had told her the girls were not her children at all. Rather, they were supposedly the children of Ukrainians killed in the war, she said. More than a dozen Russian television channels, news agencies, newspapers, and online media sites reported on the case over the summer. Their combined reach has been enormous. Channel 1 alone, Russia's most important television station, reached around 250 million people domestically and abroad. In late July, Yelena Lan also complained on that situation that after the start of the Russian special operation in Ukraine, the family had encountered open hatred at school. My children became embarrassed to say they were Russian. She said, now I understand that this happened 100% because I am Russian. NTV, another state-controlled broadcaster with around 100 million viewers, spun the thread even further. An appearance by Elena Lan was followed there by a commentary provided by a supposed political scientist. This figure asserted that Russians abroad were now being deprived of their children solely because of their citizenship. This is just the beginning. Elena Lang also took her story to social networks. Prancer Rusa Production, a production company, accompanied the mother with the cameras, rolling to the school principal's front door and produced a YouTube video from the results. In it, Yelena Lan raises assertion of kidnapping and accusing the principal of sending manipulated reports to Child Protective Services. The producers also interview footage of an interview with a Spanish activist who draws connections to a Spain fascist past, recalling how 300,000 children were stolen from their mothers under the Franco regime. We never get to learn these things at school, do we? NZZ reporters also met with the Lan in Zurich and listened to their version of the story. However, the research for this article additionally includes dozens of official documents and hundreds of videos, photos, and comments on social networks. The result is a surprising story that jumps between Spain, Russia, and Switzerland and reaches all the way to the Pacific beaches of Costa Rica. A drastic intervention. At the story's center is a question: was the DGAIAI's drastic intervention justified? On that June 17, the agency's representative appeared without warning. The legal prerequisite for the withdrawal of parental care is a declaration of the DGAIA that the children are unprotected. According to the agency, this happens only when the other solutions have not worked or when minors are in situation regarded as a severe emergency. Says it follows up on around 1,500 reports of endangered children every month. At the end of June, a total of 8,334 girls and boys were in the care of the Catalan Child Protection Services. Almost a quarter of these were minors who had immigrated to the Mediterranean region without parents. This means that the state cares for 0.6% of all the minors in Catalonia. By comparison, the most recent figures for the canton of Zurich show that around 0.3% of minors are in the state care. It is not an easy decision, but it's made for the good of the children. Withdrawal of parental custody is always the last option, said a spokesperson for the agency in response to questions posed by the NZZ. Decisions of such intervention involve 15 to 20 experts. The spokesperson added, justified its action in a letter that reached the parents 3 days after their children had been taken away. The letter has also been made available to the NZZ. The allegation and sources of concern cited in this letter range from negligence in school dress to a once public Instagram profile maintained by the older daughter to the assertion that strangers, often men, had picked up the girls from school. The agency also states that the children produced drawings with sexual connotations. The girls were often very late for school or altogether absent, the letter says. Moreover, the allegations continue. The girl's mother refused to improve the situation even after discussions with representatives of the school. Also took issue with Elena Lan's lifestyle. For instance, the letter criticizes the mother's confusing statements about her places of residence and work, as well as the children's frequent changes of school. The explanation placed considerable weight on the suspicion that Yelena and Thomas Lang are not Nora's and Yana's parents. Let me read you this again. The explanation places considerable weight on the suspicion that Yelena and Thomas Lang are not Nora's and Yana's parents. According to the Child Protection Agency, there is a lack of documents identifying the couple and the children as a family. This official doubt is bolstered by statements from the girls' schools about the father. School officials apparently never saw him, and his relationship with the girls was unclear. This despite the fact that Thomas Lang paid a total of 30,000 euros for Nora and Yana's last year private school loan. A sham marriage. These are striking accusations. The Lang couple rejects them all. The GGAIA ultimately implies that the Langs have a sham marriage, despite the fact that the couple can prove that they are married and that there is ample evidence of Elena Lang's motherhood. Thomas and Elena Lang have been married for 13 years. They were married in a civil ceremony in Zolikon, Zurich in 2009. The husband said that the couple has never been separated despite having lived apart at times. It is the picture of an intact marriage maintained by an international couple. Yet research for this article reveals a flaw in that picture. At first, it is just a detail that comes up during an internet research. In mid-July 2018, Yelena Lang appeared on a dating show on Spanish television. Quote, "I want a businessman who earns 50,000 euros a month," unquote, she said to the camera. During the same period, Yelena Lang also appeared to be seeking happiness beyond the TV screen, as she additionally had a profile with a marriage agency for Russian women. Her efforts seemed to bear fruit, as indicated by an episode that appears in police records. In 2019, Yelena Lang met a man and moved into his house with her daughters. The Catalan police visited the home following reports of domestic violence. Because Nora and Yana were minors, the police reported the incident to the child protection authorities. The family thus appeared on the agency's radar 3 years before the Ukraine war. This police intervention is cited in the Child Protection Services justification for withdrawing parental custody. An important detail that the couple never mentions in the interviews they did not note in their conversation with the NZZ. Instead, in a written statement responding to the NZZ research, Thomas Lang stated, "This point has nothing to do with the current situation, the family, or our children. My wife had filed a complaint, and this gentleman was banned by the court from contacting her and was made subject to a restraining order." After this incident, Yelena Lang and her daughters temporarily moved to Switzerland to live with her husband, thus outside the jurisdiction of the Catalan authorities. But the stay in Switzerland lasted only a short time. By the beginning of 2021, the mother and her children were back in Spain. However, the rationale was somewhat odd. The couple has explained the move to the media by referring to medical treatment being provided to their daughter Nora in Spain. The child suffers from a disease associated with gluten intolerance. But the argument seems to have been a pretext, as this disease can also be treated in Switzerland without any problems. In addition, the mother and daughters initially indicated to the local Swiss registration authorities that they were deregistering in order to go to Indonesia, a detail the parents have not mentioned in their explanation, including in the interview with the NZZ. However, the plan could not be realized because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Back in Barcelona, Nora and Yana were enrolled in the private school that is now at the center of the affair. After 15 months of school attendance, there were 11 pages full of complaints that the school principal reported to the Child Protection Agency. It was this notification that spurred the DGAIA into action. This marks the end point of about 5 years that Yelena Lang had spent with Nora and Yana living with the jurisdiction of the Catalan Child Protection Services. Is Thomas Lang their biological father? The legality of the procedure will one day have to be judged by court, but the parents' account is dubious. Elena Lan's social media profile, for example, shows that she never stayed in Barcelona for long. She has shared photos from many trips she has taken to Zurich, St. Petersburg, the beaches of Tenerife, and the Caribbean. Some show her doing so with the girls, but she is often only in the company of friends or alone. Thomas Lan never appears on his wife's Facebook or Instagram profiles, either in photos or in the comment section before the revocation of custody. These accounts have now been deleted. Only a handful of pictures of the father with his family have now been released to the public in the wake of the media coverage. The circumstance, although unusual, is neither proof of a sham marriage nor an indication that daughters are not receiving proper care. Elena Lam is free to choose what kind of photos she distributes. However, her statements about her business life are somewhat perplexing. On the LinkedIn career portal, she lists work activities as CEO of a consulting firm and a managing director of an investment firm. According to her, she performs the latter activity in London for 7 years, although she and the children were at the same time registered as living in Switzerland and then in Barcelona. In response to NZZ inquiries, the owner of both companies said they had never heard of Elena Lam. Of course they haven't. How could they? This is not the only discrepancy that comes up in the searches on social media. In posts on Facebook and Instagram, Elena Lam cited another past activities as a yoga teacher, including in Costa Rica. This is the country where her daughter Nora was born in 2012. There is no father listed on the birth certificate. Elena Lam also spent time in Costa Rica surfing. According to her statement on Facebook, she was particularly enthusiastic about her surfing instructor in a village on the west coast. Photos, comments from relatives of the Costa Rican and other pieces of the mosaic on the internet come together to form a picture. Nora and Yana could be the children of Elena Lam and that surfing instructor. At times, the dual Russian-Swiss woman even appears on Facebook with the instructor's last name as Elena Lopez. In a telephone conversation with the NZZ, the surfing instructor frankly admitted to the paternity of both girls. The construct of lies and half-truths with which the Lam couple is fighting for custody of Nora and Yana has thus been enriched by one more aspect. The girl placed in a home by Catalan authority may have a different biological father. This may also explain why the couple has not yet submitted a DNA sample to authorities. Moscow keeps the case on highball. Regardless, Nora and Yana are listed in the Lam's official family documentation in Switzerland. They were born during a Swiss man's marriage with a Russian-Swiss woman. Under Swiss law, Thomas Lam is therefore their father. In the hope that the Swiss authority would intervene in the custody case in Spain, he has contacted the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs and the KESB. Both authorities confirmed that they were aware of the case. However, the KESB is not involved. The cantonal agency is bound by the international law. It adheres to the Hague Child Protection Convention, which governs cross-border cases. Under this treaty, child protection is the responsibility of the state in which the child is habitually resident. The custody case is therefore a matter for the Spanish state. The Lams have also filed an appeal there. In the meantime, the family story continues to make headlines in the Russian media. A full-blown disinformation campaign is underway. Groundless allegations are being faithfully repeated, including the accusation the Spanish authorities allege Nora and Yana to be the children of Ukrainian parents. Without any evidence, another television report has accused the DJIA of trying to enrich itself. The report even interviewed a fictional special correspondent for the NZZ, also a completely false representation. In reality, this proved to be an acquaintance of the family who is working on behalf of their interest. The case has taken on such a high profile in Moscow that even President Putin's special representative for child protection issue has gotten involved. Beyond all the outrage in Russia, however, a sober interview of the facts shows that there is no evidence that the Catalan authorities acted arbitrarily. Meanwhile, inconsistencies are mounting in the parents' version of events. No court hearing has yet been scheduled in the case. The complaint review process is underway. Russia is quite clearly instrumentalizing the Lance family tragedy to wage a propaganda campaign against the West, regardless of the fact that the claims being disseminated as a result are false and in part wholly invented, as the research has shown. So let's just say that this woman who claims to be Russian from St. Petersburg says that her children were taken away from her inappropriately by the child protection services, and the children just happen to have brown skin. Yeah, they don't look like her, and they don't look like the father at all. Yeah, it doesn't seem like she was given birth, although she appears in the same room as when with somebody who was given birth, and then the child was given to her, just like with the gay couples. Anyways, the gay couples also sometimes present at the birth. Anyways, what else did I want to say? Her husband worked at the UBS Swiss bank. So UBS bank. UBS Swiss bank. That's where her husband works. And she is to be the CEO of the investment firm in London. Okay? So what you can get out of this is that you know, this has nothing to do with MI5 and MI6 and British intelligence, and because this is a Russian woman, apparently because she speaks Russian, and her kids are definitely hers. So don't be surprised with anything, because that's definitely a Russian woman. Her father is reported to be a general of the Navy in St. Petersburg. So Navy is very interesting matter, I should say, because Sandy Hook town, famous with the child tragedy, it was also some kind of a marine lab, and some rumors in the USA go that the Sandy Hook is a town of the Mormons, which is just in an inbred cult, and there was this just big marine laboratory there for some reason, which was, I think, shut down, or so they say. Anyways, there are also rumors that US Navy is controlled by Scientology church, and yeah, I'm just saying that her dad is a general in the Navy. So what else? Yeah, and this has nothing to do with MI6. Did I say that? Did I mention this? No, this has nothing to do with MI6. So yeah, and these kids are definitely her because they were placed on her chest just after they were born, and there was somebody filming it. Anyways, when I researched her, I found some interesting conference which I will talk about later.